Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of season 7. Can y'all believe we're already on season 7? So much has been going on, so it's been crazy. I'm still in the apartment that they're working on. They finally got around to paying our apartment today, so hopefully I should be back in my room in a couple of days. So I got a great idea how I want to rearrange it and everything, so I'm very excited about that. But you might have heard the song Friends by Marshmello and Anne Marie, Friendzone, Daniel Bradbury, and the famous Teardrops on My Guitar by Taylor Swift. I honestly can't begin to tell y'all how many times I listened to Teardrops on My Guitar. Honestly, not knowing at the time the emotion behind it, but like after being stuck in the friend zone from every guy I have ever liked, um, I literally, it's like, I react so much to this song. I'm the girl who gets friend zoned and I hate it. This is why this episode is called The Dreaded Friend Zone. But if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe, help our girl out. But there are some, I want to talk about a couple, but I want to point out two famous pairings and something's, there's Colin and Penelope from Bridgerton. And I'm so ready for season 4 to come out for that one. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to wait 2 years for it, but And then there's Rachel and Ethan from Something Borrowed. Does anyone remember that scene where it's like, I want to be somebody's first choice? Yeah, oh my gosh. Um, but exactly. But let's go over a few Reddit. So I found a couple of Reddit stories I think we might enjoy. Because you know Reddit has the tea, right? But the first one is this is story one. I usually internalize all my nice guyness and don't act in a confrontational or whiny manner with women who I thought were overlooking me. However, the big exception was this young woman who I had been interested in during my later college years. We became friends, talked quite a bit often, um, aimed to date myself, and seemed to be conversationally dance around the fact that we were both single, had nothing to do with that do on a particular night, and we also talked about um many intimate subjects I don't normally associate with casual friends. When I was the normally a type of the either did not pick up on the hints or actively disbelieve my perception of them and thoughts, and oh, she was just being friendly. And I thought that surely this time in particular, this woman was interested in me. Wow. In my attempts to ask her out, um, often were sheepish and indirect, and I did only on occasion. Um, but on occasion suggest that we hang out rather than just talk online. She would enthusiastically accept my invitation, but she developed a clear habit of conveniently for getting out of plans, allowing the phone to die, just about every excuse you could dream of. When I um, brought up the topic to her, she shaved it off with a statement that she was forgetful and that she was a bit airheaded. I gave up on pursuing her and ended up dating another guy for most of the remainder of the year, our college days. Um, So we connected a bit shortly after us. We had graduated. I was still living in our college town, and she was planning on to come back to town to visit for a weekend soon. And we decided that to make time to see each other, it was only if only brief. While I didn't have high expectations that everything major would have happened, I did at least think I had a chance of generating and receiving some interest during her visit. And her weekend visit came, and she hung out with her friends and came to see me. And she didn't answer her phone when I called her. The night we were supposed to connect and went without a word, the icing on the cake was that I was driving through a downtown bar area and I saw her on the street with a few friends. I tried calling her in that very moment, but again, she didn't answer. That night, I sent her a message on Facebook outlining the very things I had mentioned in a long winded post. And I talked about how I always felt like, but she seemed to constantly blow me off. And I told her that I thought about this particular visit would be different and that it would end up going exactly how it ended when we were in college, in that I was really disappointed. Now, nothing about what I said was wrong. Everything that happened the way I described it, and I was being open, and honest about how I felt. However, this message came across as so cringy. I regretted sending it almost immediately. While I since deleted my Facebook account entirely, the message will exist in her message history until she deletes her account or bothers to delete it in particular conversation. Now, even better, it's the last conversation we ever had. So even if she gets nostalgic, starts looking through old messages, and the gem will be waiting for her. Here's another story. The girl I met my freshman year and I hit it off, and really well off. But I was dealing with some other drama, so I didn't pursue anything. 2 years later, we reconnected, and things were going ridiculously good. But I just wasn't the best person anymore. That had a lot of issues during the best time. That time. I didn't want to bring her down to me, so I essentially friend-zoned her. She ended up dating an a-hole who, for lack of better words, ruined her life. He was a military guy and was effing his way around the world and leading, which led to a lot of issues, but I didn't notice, at least not yet. Um, we reconnected and we spent the entire weekend together, and I worked on myself. And so I had worked on myself and decided to ask her out. And she said yes, only to reveal a little later that she did have a boyfriend and that he was an a-hole, etc. And then proceeded to ask me what we should do. Now, I could have said, if he's not going to make you happy, leave him and go out with me. But I had this thing where I didn't want to manipulate people, so I told her that it was up to her what she wants to do was best. The one thing I'm glad I did say was that I can't go on a date with you if she did have a boyfriend. Fast forward a month later, and she calls me and leaves me a drunk voicemail basically telling me to come over. I didn't get until the next morning in which she had got some other dude who I didn't know yet, and she asked me out on a date in the next week, and I said yes. And if she assuming if she was messing around with other guys, then it meant she was single again. We go out in the middle of our date. She was texting El Dovio, and I didn't make any moves on her after that since we were friends, and I just hung out. So, um, to keep things going a bit, it turns out I was simply a guy who she was in between her ex and her new boyfriend, whose best friend is the guy she screwed. And eventually, um, I just kind of snapped at once, put the pieces together, and hearing the story from her new boyfriend's best friend, we were high that night at a party, and his story sounded very familiar. And eventually, I asked the guy if he was talking about her, and asked him how I knew. Well, I moved on and just kept dating crappy people. And this was one point where I eventually just broke and decided to be better. And this is when she hit me up again. I was rude and I didn't want to text her, but she was curious to see why she was hitting me up again. She played this stupid and tried to set something up. After dealing with so much BS, I went off on her saying that I didn't want to because XYZ and that it was unfair for me to and everyone involved. And the text was so cringy, but I had to close the door before the drunk lonely tries to set in. She never replied. The story wasn't the, That wasn't the end of the story. Apparently, she was hitting me up because ooh, um, her new boyfriend had ended things with her for reals. Um, and after I went off, she went off on my sister because she found out my sister's friend was seeing her now ex. My sister and her child and her was chill, but Man, this was the final straw for me. One day I brought the new girl I was, quote, seeing at the time to the fair, and she happened to be there with her friends. The girl literally hid from me the entire time and she was talking crap. I'm friends with her, and they started talking to me while they ran off on her while she ran off on her own to not talk to me. It was the funniest thing ever, but so cringy and made me realize that I did make the right move. But there was a lot of unnecessary drama built up that ultimately led to nowhere. This could have all been avoided had I just respected myself and from early on. So, now that we have our little Reddit stories out of the way, why don't we talk about the definition of the friend zone? This is a friendship when when one person, typically male, sometimes female, is romantically or sexually attracted to the other, but the attraction is not mutual. He or she is obviously in love with the person, but they keep them in the friend zone. One trope I also want to point out real quick is the friends to lover trope. I love this trope. I am not gonna lie to y'all. But I love this trope. And this is when the main character starts as a friend and something in the story happens and makes them fall in love. Now, I would love for that to happen, really and truly. I'm a romantic at heart. I'm not gonna lie. I look like I don't care, but I really do care, guys. But what are the signs of being friend zone? The early physical contact is gone. You ask about the other person. Um, they date other people. They don't flirt with you. Um, their texts are nothing more. They need your advice. They call you for comfort. They call you buddy. Um, he doesn't initiate. He hasn't made a move. He isn't interested in your friends. He keeps your physical space. He makes your feelings known. His feelings known. He unloads his problems on you. He wants you to date. He invites others to hang out every time. And she talks about her hookups. They give you no encouragement whatsoever. They play matchmaker. They suggest bringing friends along. They take you for granted and they find you consoling it. You find yourself consoling him and you hang out in groups. So, how to get out of the dreaded friend zone? Trust me, that's a heartache no one ever thought about. But you assess the friendship. People with this may get stuck in the friend zone for a number of reasons, including not clearly communicating their wants, insecurity, or being too nice. Some signs that you may include your friend zone include avoiding love topics, lack of flirting, and casual group hangouts. Prioritize your ugh, prioritize yourself. Don't be available, and don't drop everything for someone else. Expand your circle. Try hanging out with new friends, dating other people, and focusing on your hobbies and passions. This can help you um, feel more content with remaining friends with your crush. Try new experiences. You can try getting more physical, flirting, and complimenting each other. State your intentions. Be bold and demand that your needs are met. So, what are some reasons you might be friend zoned? I would love to know the reasons I keep getting friend zoned. But anyway, no, I made a promise to myself the next guy I liked was going to be the guy that got picked out for me. I really did. And I'm staying by that decision every day. But anyway, some reasons why you might be giving too much. You never defined your boundaries. She's unnecessarily critical of you. He's just not into you. They're afraid of jeopardizing their friendship. They're oblivious to your feelings. You're always with an entourage. The attraction might not be immediate. Um, we don't want to. We don't want a relationship. You're just one of the guys. You're scared to tell them. What's the reality of being stuck in the friend zone? I think anyone who's been stuck in the friend zone, we all know this. And honestly, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you. But gaining new friends, gaining a new friend, being friend zone can mean gaining a new friend who is still interested in you, which can improve your perception in the eyes of others. Dating above your station. According to a new study, one study, people who are friend zoned may likely date someone who is more attractive than them. Relationship satisfaction. The same study found that couples who have been friends for years reportedly similar satisfaction rates as couples started dating right away. So, here are some things I've learned just personally from being in the friend zone. It sucks. I don't think I need an explanation for that. Nice girls finish last. I was taught to always be the nice girl, and I do plan on talking about the nice girl later on, but nice girls do finish last, and it's like no matter how hard you try, and I suck at flirting too. That's my thing, and I hate making things awkward, so I just bottle up, pretend, and everything. Um, it hurts you. Never. It's a heartbreak you never thought about having. Like we see the heartbreaks of the friendship heartbreaks, the guy heartbreaks, like when we're in a relationship. But what about the heartbreak from like the guys you like that don't like you back, and you have to get over it, and no one talks about that. They see it as just a silly crush. Um, and you being over dramatic. But look at Riverdale, with Betty and what's his name? Sorry, I can't think of his name at the moment. But anyway, it hurts like hell. You move on. You try to learn why, but you really never understand why. You become scared, honestly. Like, it sucks. And then you get moved in. Sometimes you may get moved into the sister zone. So what is that? The sister zone is a very slight variation of the friend zone, in which the girl's potential love interest don't does not reciprocate her feelings because they think of her as something as a sister. And this term implies a closeness as the friend zone does not. It can often mean that even less chance of a relationship there. For one, someone calling their sister is a shorthand for sorry about that. I have no clue what happened. My camera just froze on me. And everything's had to go back figure out where I was going. But anyway, as I was saying, calling someone your sister is a shorthand for saying you're not interested in them romantically. And even if they are saying that it's to deflect your true feelings, their kinship means you probably don't want to be anything to change the status of the status quo and potentially lose um her as a friend. This can also mean that there is also something that can be known as the brother zone, in which someone labels someone else as their brother. Again, my camera keeps freezing up on me. I don't know why. But anyway, some people used a more gender neutral, say, sibling zone or family zone to refer to this phenomenon. And it's a tricky place to be. But what we can do is, but what can you do about it, right? You accept it basically. Um, But if your crush prefers to give you a high five or hugs or call you bro and tries to set you with their friends, it's likely that they just don't like you that way. And you may feel like that as an intimacy relationship, and you may feel comfortable around them in a way that you just want with others, but you feel love stirring and they think of you as family. Of course, this is the biggest clue that they call you their sister frequently to anyone who hears it. But just remember though, if you're in the friend zone, you may move out of it, you may not. You'll eventually find someone that you won't be friend zoned with, and that's the main thing. Just understand yourself. You understand yourself and know that you deserve better than life in everything in life. But I want to give a quote. And the longest mile is one walked home thinking of someone's company. Sometimes love is a one-way street, a soul journey, and a companion in your dreams. But one day they may return, turning a path into an avenue shared. And another quote, and something else is also I want to give. It's a little fun fact, a little fun tidbit. But the term friend zone was popularized by a 90s television show Friends, specifically an episode when Joey mentions Ross is the mayor of Friend Zone. But that is it for this episode. Join me next time as we talk about finding a light at rock bottom. I know I've been here before, and there's a couple of songs if you want to go listen to it beforehand. It's called Somebody I Used to Know by Zach Brown Band and Rock Bottom by Haley Steinfeld.